Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be looking at the unique item known as Hunter's Zenith. Hunter's Zenith is a unique ring that you can find in both sacred and ancestral forms. Drops in Tier 3 and Tier 4, for those of you who are interested. And it does have some pretty interesting effects, so let's take a look at it, shall we? We have 22.4% lightning resistance and 22.4% poison resistance. It also rolls with 6% damage while shapeshifted, which does roll between 5 to 10. Now, these effects do get upgraded quite a bit when you upgrade the ring. And just to demonstrate this, let me take it over to the blacksmith real quick, and we're going to upgrade it. Because I want you guys to see that a lot of these numbers on here, as well as the maximum and minimum rolls, do increase quite a bit when you actually upgrade it. So if we take it over to Mr. Blacksmith, actually no, not blacksmith. This is a ring. It needs to go to the jeweler. What is wrong with you, Ginger Gaming Mentor? Oh, you fool. You poor unfortunate fool. And as you can see here, when you upgrade it, it goes from, say, 5 to 10 to 5.5 to 11, and so forth and so on. So if you upgrade it to its maximum, for instance, you're going to end up with a lot higher stats than what it was before. So now we're looking at 9% damage while shapeshifted with 7.5 to 15, 20.3% critical strike damage with werewolf skills, 15 to 22.5%. 45% overpower damage with werebear skills, so 22.5 to 45%. Got a perfect roll on that one. And rank 1 of the quick shift passive. Now, if we take a look at the quick shift passive on the Druid, it's a pretty clear one. I believe it's this one. When shapeshifted skills transform you into a different form, you deal 5% increased damage. So basically, we get a bonus damage to our quick shift. Now, if the combination of effects here isn't painting a picture, then the legendary affix will, which is basically that gain a bonus when you kill with a shape-shifting skill. So werewolf, your next non-ultimate skill, which is a werebear skill, costs no resource and has no cooldown. Werebear, your next werewolf skill will heal you for 504 life. When damage is first dealt. So basically how this works, or how the character is supposed to work, if you take a look at the kind of like the capstones, you'll kind of understand, is that there's a bestial rampage capstone that gives you bonuses depending on if you're transforming back and forth between werewolf and werebear forms. So if you were to utilize both werewolf and werebear abilities, like say maybe you used pulverize, and then maybe you also used I don't know, like rabies or something like that, and you kind of like went back and forth between them on a regular basis. The reason why this would be so powerful is because you're getting all of the bonuses from transforming back and forth. You get the ones from the bestial rampage, you get the ones from quick shift, you get the ones from natural fortitude, you get the ones from heightened sentences, and there's other ways that you can take advantage of transforming back and forth between the werewolf and the werebear constantly. Now, with this particular ring, they're giving you the ability to just use a non-ultimate werebear skill for no resource or cooldown. And this is kind of ridiculous. So you could use Pulverize for no resource. You could use Debilitating Roar with no cooldown. You could, of course, also use Trample with no cooldown, as long as it's not an ultimate. So the ultimates don't count in this, unfortunately. And then, of course, when you use your next werewolf skill, you have the ability to heal yourself. So any of the werewolf skills. So Shred, you got your Claw ability, your Blood Howl will also give you an additional heal. Actually, Blood Howl doesn't hit a target, so it might not. But your rabies definitely will, and even like Lacerate and things like that will probably give you the heal. So it's essentially just a way that you can add in additional usefulness for switching back and forth between, the two characters. Honestly, I think the werewolf one is a little weak at 504 heal, but of course I think when you find a higher version of this, you definitely get a much larger heal. So don't judge it too harshly, because I know for a fact that these flat aspects get a lot better when you find them at higher levels. So if you get an 820, like a really high 820 ring, that heal's probably going to be pretty massive. However, your next non-ultimate werebear skill costs no resource, has no scaling, so it's always going to be useful pretty much no matter what. So as long as you transform into a werewolf and attack something, or rather kill something, it says you specifically has to kill something. So as soon as you kill something, you can transform into your werebear and use the next skill literally for free, which is actually kind of powerful, especially when you consider the fact that Pulverize uses 35 resource. It's kind of expensive. And some of these other abilities have pretty long cooldowns. Like Debilitating Roar is 19 seconds, but you could basically cast it for free, so no cooldown on that. Trample doesn't really have as long as of a cooldown, but you could use that for spamming movement, which is interesting. Obviously, this one doesn't have a cooldown, and it gives you Spirit instead, so that's not even in the equation. But it definitely is interesting. It doesn't apply to Grizzly Rage, because Grizzly Rage is an ultimate, but if it did, that would be kind of, like, broken. It would kind of be broken, honestly, not gonna lie. It does also have some flavor text, so it says, by fang, claw, spear, or sword, send the bastards back to the flames from which they crawled. Soak the peat with their blood for Fialka, Gier, for Skosgland. Nefane during the days of Ash. Honestly, this is one of those rings that you're going to find, and unfortunately, unless you're doing the quick shift build, it's not going to be useful to you. I hate to say it. Like, I'm doing a pure werewolf, so not useful to me. A werebear that's doing a pure werebear, it's not going to be useful to him. If you're doing like a storm wolf or like an earth bear, or like, there's a lot of different combos that you can do on the druid, but if you're not doing this specific combo, which is werewolf werebear, or rather like the quick shift build, which would probably be the best way to put it. This is definitely the quick shift build. It's not going to be useful to you. And that's really the unfortunate thing about a lot of these uniques that I've come across so far, is that they are for specific builds and specific purposes. And if you're not doing those specific builds and those specific purposes, then you just tend not to get good usefulness from them. But if you are planning on doing a quick shift druid, you know, shifting between werewolf and werewolf forms, this actually does seem like a pretty solid ring. The ability to get a free ability, like no resource, no cooldown, from the werebear sounds extremely powerful, in my opinion. Being able to spam Pulverize for basically no resource is probably the best option, in my opinion. So switching back and forth between the two, and you don't necessarily have to, like, I don't know, like it's kind of interesting. I guess having to get a kill does require you to actually, you know, obviously kill something with the ability. So you might actually have to be using something that does a significant amount of damage to get the effect. But yeah, my mind is working already trying to figure out exactly what you would use to get the most damage out of this. And I just feel like it's got to be Pulverized for the skill that you would utilize for the no resource cost. But what would you use as a werewolf to get the kill to allow that to happen? And you'd want to do that repeatedly. So you kill something with one and then spam Pulverize. Kill something with your werewolf and then spam Pulverize. Kill something with your werewolf and then spam Pulverize. You know, just kind of going back and forth between the two. I don't know. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when we're just going over an item like Hunter's Zenith. And as always, keep watching.